My name is Danielle Price. I'm 34 years old, and I'm standing at the head of my mother's dining room table with a sonogram picture shaking in my hand, while my entire family stares at me in stunned silence. But I'm not looking at any of them. I'm looking at my younger sister, Megan, whose face has gone completely white. She's crying. And in that moment, I still think she's happy for me. I still think these are tears of joy. I have no idea that in the next 45 seconds, my entire life is about to collapse. This story contains content about pregnancy trauma and family betrayal that some viewers may find difficult. Names and certain details have been changed for privacy and safety. My husband, Kyle, is squeezing my shoulder. He's grinning that proud grin I fell in love with 8 years ago. We're 12 weeks along, I say, my voice cracking with emotion. We're finally going to be parents. My mom screams. My dad stands up to hug me. My aunt is already pulling out her phone to call my grandmother. But Megan doesn't move. She just sits there, tears streaming down her face, her hand pressed against her stomach. And then she says 4 words that I will never, ever forget. I'm pregnant too. The room erupts. More screaming, more congratulations. My mom is crying now, saying something about her 2 Bobbies having Bobbies at the same time, how perfect this is, how they'll grow up together. But I'm watching Megan's face. And she's not looking at me. She's looking at Kyle. And Kyle, my husband of 6 years, the man who held my hand through 2 miscarriages and 18 months of fertility treatments, Kyle won't meet my eyes. That's when I knew. If this story is resonating with you, I just want you to know, you're not alone, and I'm so glad you're here. Let me take you back to where this really began. I grew up in a small town outside of Columbus, Ohio. The kind of place where everyone knows everyone, where you go to the same church as your kindergarten teacher, where family is everything. Megan is 2 years younger than me. Growing up, we were inseparable. She was my maid of honor. I was supposed to be hers. Kyle and I got married when I was 28. We started trying for a baby on our honeymoon. I thought it would be easy. I thought wrong. After 6 months of nothing, I told myself it was fine. After a year, I started to worry. After 18 months and every ovulation kit, every temperature chart, every perfectly timed attempt, I finally went to see a specialist. The diagnosis was unexplained infertility. Do you know how maddening that is? To be told something is wrong, but no one can tell you what. Your tests look normal, my doctor said. His tests look normal. Sometimes bodies just don't cooperate. So we started IUI. 3 rounds, 3 failures. Then we moved to IVF. Do you have any idea what IVF does to your body, to your mind, to your marriage? The hormones made me feel like a stranger in my own skin. I gained weight. I couldn't sleep. I cried at everything, commercials, songs, the way Kyle loaded the dishwasher wrong. Our first round failed. Our second round resulted in a pregnancy that ended at 7 weeks. I found out I was miscarrying while I was at work. I had to drive myself home because Kyle was in a meeting. Our third round failed too. By then, I was 33, exhausted, broken, and running out of money and hope. Kyle started pulling away. He said he needed space to process. He started working late, going to the gym more, spending weekends clearing his head. I told myself he was struggling too. I told myself men grieve differently. I had no idea what he was actually doing, or who he was doing it with. Then, a miracle. In September, just when I'd given up, I missed my period. I took a test expecting nothing, and for the first time in 3 years, I saw 2 pink lines. I fell to my knees on my bathroom floor and sobbed. This time, it stuck. Week after week, the numbers kept rising. At 8 weeks, I saw a heartbeat. My doctor said, "This one looks strong, Danielle. I think this is it." I decided to wait until 12 weeks to announce it. I wanted to be safe. I wanted to be sure. And I wanted to tell everyone at Thanksgiving. It was going to be perfect. But here's what I didn't know, what I couldn't have known. while I was injecting hormones into my stomach and crying myself to sleep and begging my body to do the one thing I wanted most in the world. My husband was sleeping with my sister. And she was doing it without protection. The affair started 14 months before that Thanksgiving dinner. 14 months. Through my second IVF round, through my miscarriage, through my third failed transfer, through every moment I was falling apart. Megan knew what I was going through. She was the one I called crying. She was the one who brought me ice cream after my D, and she was the one who sat next to me at family dinners and rubbed my back when relatives asked when Kyle and I were going to start our family. And the whole time, she was sleeping with my husband. I found out the truth 45 minutes after I made my announcement. The family chaos had died down. My dad was carving the turkey. My mom was in the kitchen heating up the gravy. Megan followed me into the hallway. "Danielle, I need to tell you something." I turned around, still glowing, still happy, still naive. "The father," she said, and her voice cracked. "It's not I didn't plan." "What are you talking about?" She couldn't look at me. "Megan, who is the father?" Silence. And then I heard Kyle's voice behind me. "Danny." I froze. I turned around slowly. Kyle was standing at the end of the hallway. His face was gray. His hands were shaking. "Tell me it's not true," I whispered. "Kyle, tell me it's not true." He didn't say anything. He didn't have to. The next few minutes are a blur. I remember screaming. I remember my mother running in from the kitchen. I remember my father grabbing Kyle by the collar. I remember Megan crying, saying she was sorry, saying it just happened. Just happened. 14 months doesn't just happen. I remember grabbing my coat and my keys and running out into the cold November air. I drove for 3 hours. I don't even know where I went. When I finally stopped, I was parked at a rest stop somewhere in Indiana, sobbing so hard I couldn't breathe. I called my best friend, Tanya. "I'm leaving him," I said. "It's over." "What happened? Danielle, where are you?" I told her everything. There was a long pause. Then she said something that made my blood run cold. "Danielle, I need to tell you something. Something I should have told you months ago." I gripped the steering wheel. "What?" "I saw them, last March, at that restaurant downtown, the one by the river. They were sitting in a corner booth. I thought maybe it was innocent. Maybe they were planning something for your birthday, but..." "But what?" "He kissed her. I saw him kiss her." She'd known for 8 months. My best friend had known for 8 months and said nothing. "Why didn't you tell me?" "I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to hurt you. You were already going through so much with the IVF." I hung up. I sat in that parking lot until 2 in the morning, alone, pregnant in the dark, wondering how many people in my life had known, wondering who else had seen something and said nothing, wondering if I could trust anyone ever again. When I finally drove home, Kyle was gone. He'd packed a bag and left a note on the kitchen counter. "I'm so sorry. I'll give you space. I love you." I tore that note into 100 pieces. The next few weeks were survival mode. I filed for divorce immediately. Kyle didn't fight it. I think he was too ashamed. Megan tried to contact me 17 times. Calls, texts, a letter slipped under my door. I didn't respond to any of them. My mother was caught in the middle. She kept saying things like, "She's still your sister and families forgive." I couldn't hear it. Not yet, maybe not ever. But here's the thing, no one tells you about this kind of trauma. It doesn't pause just because you're pregnant. The stress of everything, the divorce, the betrayal, the sleepless nights, started taking a toll. At 16 weeks, I started spotting. At 18 weeks, I landed in the hospital with severe cramping. My doctor looked at me with worried eyes. "Your cervix is weakening, Danielle. If we don't act, you could lose this baby." I had an emergency cerclage, a stitch to hold everything together. For the next 4 months, I was on modified bed rest. 4 months of lying on my couch, alone, terrified, while my body tried to hold onto the one thing I had left. My mother came to help, but it was hard. Every conversation eventually turned back to Megan. "She's struggling too," my mom said one afternoon. "Her pregnancy is complicated. She's alone." "She's not alone," I said. "She has Kyle." My mother went quiet. "They're not together. He left her 2 weeks ago. Apparently he couldn't handle the pressure." I laughed. I actually laughed. Not because it was funny, but because of course he did. Kyle was never good under pressure. That's why he checked out during our miscarriage. That's why he found comfort in someone else instead of fighting for us. He never loved me enough to stay. He didn't love Megan either. But I couldn't feel sorry for her. I wasn't there yet. At 32 weeks, I went into preterm labor. The doctors managed to stop it, but I had to stay in the hospital for observation. I was alone in that room for 11 days. 11 days of monitors, and IV drips, and nurses checking on me every few hours. 11 days of staring at the ceiling, talking to my baby. "Please stay in there," I'd whisper, my hand on my belly. "Please just give me a few more weeks." But when I thought the worst was behind me, something else happened. I was wrong. One of the night nurses sat down next to me during her break. Her name was Rita. "How are you doing, sweetheart? Really?" I shrugged, surviving. She hesitated, then leaned in. "Listen, I probably shouldn't say this, but your husband was here earlier." "Ex-husband?" "Right, ex-husband. He was at the nurse's station asking about your room number, your chart, your medications." My stomach dropped. "What did you tell him?" "Nothing. We don't release that information. But Danielle, the way he was asking, something felt off." I didn't know what to make of it. But I called my divorce lawyer the next morning. "Kyle's been trying to access my medical records," I told her. "Why would he need those?" She was quiet for a moment. "In divorce proceedings, if a husband can prove a wife's pregnancy isn't viable, or isn't his, he can reduce his financial obligations significantly. The baby is his. We conceived through IVF." "I know, but if he's looking for leverage, he might be trying to build a case. Or what? Or he's looking for something else entirely." That's when I started getting paranoid. I changed the locks on my house. I added extra security questions to my medical accounts. I told the hospital that only 3 people were authorized to visit me: my mother, my father, and Tanya, who I'd eventually forgiven because I needed someone. But still, something felt wrong. At 36 weeks, I developed severe preeclampsia. My doctor made the call: emergency C-section. I remember being wheeled into the operating room. I remember the bright lights and the cold table. I remember crying and praying and begging God to let my baby be okay. And then I heard it. The most beautiful sound in the entire world. My daughter's first cry. They placed her on my chest, this tiny, perfect, screaming little miracle, and I sobbed. "You made it," I whispered. "We made it." She was 5 pounds, 2 ounces. She had Kyle's dark hair and my mother's chin. I named her Grace. Because that's what she was, Grace in the middle of the storm. But even in that moment of pure joy, the storm wasn't over. 3 days after Grace was born, I was recovering in my hospital room when my mother walked in with a strange look on her face. "Danielle, there's a detective here to see you." My heart stopped. "What? Why?" Detective Morrison was a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a firm handshake. "Mrs. Price, I need to ask you about some irregularities we've found in your medical records." I didn't understand. "We've been investigating a separate case involving controlled substances at this hospital. During our review, we discovered that someone accessed your chart multiple times over the past few weeks, someone who wasn't authorized." "Kyle," I whispered. She nodded. "Your ex-husband was also flagged in our system for asking questions about certain medications. Medications that, in high doses, can cause complications in pregnancy." I couldn't breathe. "Are you saying he tried to?" We're still investigating, but I need to know if you experienced anything unusual, any unexplained symptoms, any tampering with your food or drinks. I thought back to the spotting, the cramping, the preterm labor. I thought about how Kyle had stopped by a few times during the early weeks of my pregnancy, always bringing me smoothies from my favorite place. I thought I was being paranoid. I wasn't. "Oh my God," I said. The detective reached out and steadied me. "Take your time. We're going to get to the bottom of this." The investigation took 3 months. What they found made me sick. Kyle had been researching dangerous compounds online, substances that could cause pregnancy complications. His search history was damning. His visits to the hospital while I was on bed rest, his attempts to access my chart, it all painted a terrifying picture. He'd been trying to end my pregnancy. The theory was that if I lost the baby, the divorce would be cleaner, easier, less expensive. He'd been willing to kill our child to save money. Kyle was arrested and charged with reckless endangerment and attempted assault. The trial was brutal. I had to testify. I had to sit in that courtroom and look at the man I'd loved for 8 years and listen to prosecutors describe what he'd tried to do. He was convicted and sentenced to 6 years in prison. I cried when they read the verdict, not because I was sad for him, but because I was relieved, because justice existed, because my daughter would never know him. Megan testified against him. That surprised me. After everything, she showed up in that courtroom and told the truth. She told them about Kyle's temper, his manipulation, the things he'd said to her about me. She didn't ask for forgiveness. She didn't make excuses. She just told the truth. "We're not close now. I don't know if we ever will be again. But after the trial, she sent me a letter. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I don't deserve that. But I want you to know that what Kyle did to you, what he tried to do, I had no idea. And when I found out, I felt like I'd helped him destroy you. I will carry that guilt forever." I didn't respond, not then. But I kept the letter. Grace is 2 now. She's healthy and loud and stubborn, and absolutely perfect. I go to therapy every week. I've been working through the trauma, the betrayal, the fear, the complicated grief of losing the family I thought I had. It's not easy. Healing never is. But every morning, I wake up and I see my daughter's face, and I remember why I fought so hard. She is my miracle, my grace, my reason. My relationship with my mother is healing slowly. She's trying. She apologized for pushing me toward forgiveness before I was ready. My relationship with Megan is a work in progress. We've had 2 conversations since the trial. Both were awkward and painful and real. I don't know what the future holds for us, but I'm open to finding out. Tanya and I are closer than ever. She stood by me through everything, even when I pushed her away. That kind of friendship is rare. I'm not dadding. I'm not ready. I may not be ready for a long time, and that's okay. Right now, my focus is on Grace, on being the mother she deserves, on building a life that's safe and stable and full of love. If you're watching this and you've been betrayed by someone you trusted, I want you to know something. You will survive. It will hurt in ways you can't imagine. It will break you in places you didn't know existed. You will question everything, your judgment, your worth, your ability to trust again. But you will survive. And on the other side of that survival, you will find strength you didn't know you had. I'm not grateful for what happened to me. I'll never be grateful for that pain. But I'm grateful for who I became because of it. A fighter, a mother, a woman who knows her worth. Thank you for listening to my story. If you've ever experienced betrayal from someone you loved, someone you trusted completely, I'd love to hear from you. How did you find the strength to keep going? Leave your answer in the comments below, and if this story touched you, please consider subscribing. You being here means more than you know.